Hello right bags, it's Jade, welcome to Grounded Guide. Today where I'll take you through everything you need to know for the woodpile and taking on the Termite King. We're going to unlock a whole bunch of new things today, including the Termite armor chest piece and brand new upgrades for your weapons to get up to level 8 and 9. Plus 2 new cookbook recipes, the Termite Delight, the Black Ox Burger, at least 3,200 science points including the one that's in the axe handle, and of course the Mega Milks and Milk Molars locations too. With, as always, tips for taking out the new creatures, including the Termite King. So to kick things off, we're going to need a termite axe. Before we can even go anywhere close to get inside the woodpile, that's what we need to do first. So I've split this up. We're going to do the outside of the termite hill and on top and get all the stuff that we need to go back for a second visit. So in this first run, you want to be geared for taking on some wolf spiders and a few of the termites, and you may run across some ladybird larvae on the way through the trenches too. But I would focus on stuff that's going to help you take on the wolf spiders and maybe some mosquitoes as well. Crossbow with a bunch of feather arrows would be pretty good as well. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. After maybe stocking up on some food in the right hand side facing the woodpile, now we've got to try and lure some of these termites out. We basically want to kill a couple of the normal ones and maybe one soldier, and that should be enough to craft a tier 3 axe. It's important that you craft a tier 3 axe before going into wood, otherwise there's just not much point. You're going to come across an obstruction that you need the tier 3 axe to get through to face the actual king, and to get a whole bunch of the splinters you're going to need it also. As you saw, feather arrows are pretty effective at taking on the smaller ones. When it comes to the soldiers, you might want to try something a little bit stronger, and that's where either splinter or the salt arrows come in. Now you probably haven't got splinter just yet because you haven't got the axe, so salt arrows will do just as fine. In fact, termites are weak against salt. They're also weak against stabbing, so any spears or indeed the mosquito needle. Now the termites obviously do a range of attacks. The soldier will lift up a cloud of dirt which can slow you down briefly, and then it will lunge at you and do pretty powerful attacks. The regular termites obviously don't hit as hard, but they can fire acid at you that has the same sort of damage as a bombardier beetle, so fresh defense mutation is good. The salt mace is probably going to be okay for this first part. You only need to kill a few of them outside. They don't particularly mind the generic weapons, they're pretty resistant against it, but they are weak against salt, so that's a bit of a toss up. So we're pretty much just running around here, seeing if there's any science points and stuff. There are lots inside and it will ping like crazy, but you're not really going to get at them until we go exploring deeper. You can pretty much just jump and climb on top of the boards and you'll get up here super quick and super easy. I'm going to show you each and every one of the entranceways in a while. We also want to take care of these. Maybe you haven't got a mosquito needle, then this is the perfect time to go and get one, as you'll be attacked constantly by mosquitoes while exploring up here. And it kind of fits in. If you go up top, kill these guys and then explore underneath, you'll have all the tools you need to pretty much succeed. There's at least maybe 5, maybe possibly even 6 of these guys buzzing around, and they respawn fairly quickly as well. Now I've already got the actual tier 3 axe, but I did just want to show you guys as well that you can pretty much do this without. Obviously you will get lots of splinters and there is lots of clumps of sap up here as well, so make sure you bring a tier 2 hammer. But that's pretty obvious, as most of these guides do contain molars, so you should always have a tier 2 hammer on you. There's lots of ways to clamber up, so I'm not necessarily going to detail every single step. It shouldn't be too hard, but like I said, make sure you've got a dandelion tuft just in case you do fall. You will come across a couple of odd termites up here sometimes coming from the deck, but again they shouldn't be too much difficulty, especially like I said if you've got a assault weapon. This also is another little way that you can get on top of the deck if you don't have to go all the way around to the bike. You can just crawl across this ledge. Towards the right hand side near the actual shed wall, you will find this unusual little box or square. This is not a bad spot to put a little lean-to, just to have a save point before you go right up to the top. If you're a pro at taking out wolf spiders, you might not necessarily need it, but I definitely need some practice. There are splinters absolutely everywhere. As far as I can tell, they do a big amount of damage, but the feather ones pretty much do the same, except the feathers do it a little bit slower with the bleed effect. Splinter arrows are okay, but because they take so many resources, i.e. dust, might, fuzz, you're better off saving them till you get a whole bunch of super stink bags, as that's going to help with the super gas arrows, and they're much more better to use these for later on. Slowly pick off any of the mosquitoes that come and attack you before you even go anywhere near the actual blue tarplin. There should, like I said, be maybe 4 or 5, and if you're really unlucky, you'll come across some spiderlings attacking you at the same time, which is more of an annoyance than anything else. You can see where they're coming from just underneath the blue tarpaulin, and there's some science points there too. Head over and collect it and you're going to get yourself a sweet 100 science. At the moment, last few days just before the full update came out for everyone, it does look like there is just a whole bunch more science points in here and this milk molar, but nothing else. I was kind of expecting there to be maybe an ore weaver or something, but nope, literally just this. So get the milk molar and yeah, go ahead and tack lots of the egg sacs if you want to see if you can get some bug parts or you need some web fibre. Once that's done, you can get out and then carry on your picking off of the mosquitoes with maybe a bit better aim than I've got. Goes without saying that you might even want to consider bringing your sharpshooter gear, especially if you're doing this on one of the harder difficulties. So once you're actually on the blue tarpaulin, go a little bit slower, otherwise you can drop off certain points and then you have to climb all the way back up. And you don't want to rush too quickly or you might run right into a wolf spider. Now there's two patrolling this area. Sometimes they meet together as they come out of the hole that goes directly down into the actual woodpile. But we're not going to be going down there just yet. We're going to try and take these out a little bit separately. You want to lure one over, but they do have a bit of pathing issues if you're stuck in this corner. Sometimes they'll pretty much just run away. Maybe it's the distance that you are from them, but yeah, this guy, I had to go and lure him back over. This is why it's so important to make sure you've cleared out any mosquitoes before taking these guys on. You will find plenty of snacks up here. There's a whole bunch of mint and spicy cha-chas as well, and if you're lucky, maybe some juice, but you're more than likely probably bring a canteen with you as well. If you manage to grab one of the wolf spiders' attention, then back away and so that another one doesn't get involved, and don't let it run away so it re-heals. Keep it at a distance as much as possible before maybe wading in with your melee. Luckily I had some roly-poly armour on as well as some antlion, so it did give me a little bit enough protection and just about survived the actual poison. I then did what I always do, cheese big creatures on parts of the scenery and made sure that I didn't die. I'm guessing there should be some sort of landmark that activates when you're on top of here or moving around, but I couldn't find any, so there's definitely a few missing and hopefully that's going to be fixed by the time the full update lands. If you jump into the pool water, you can see another 500 science points. So that's 1100 already. I can't help how the game played out and this guy got stuck. So yes, I did become the cheese master once more. This is why you're going to need a whole bunch of arrows. I would say use your normal ones and save any salty arrows though for the actual termite nest. You do get the occasional termite that comes out of here, so this is all good as it's going to give you just more resources to go back and make your tier 3 axe. Behind the base wall of course is a gold molar, so obviously grab that and get yourself some sweet points later on. In the far corner just behind it you'll also find another box of mints that should be able to open if you hit it directly in the right spot. Just keep going right around and hit right on the edge and it should ping open eventually. The actual termites themselves are immune a little bit more to spicy and fresh, that's why salt's so good. On the opposite side you've got a can filled of soda, so you can go ahead and replenish yourself here. And then just outside the entrance to the actual woodpile, or one of them at least, you should find some more cha-chas too. Now if you really want to go guns blazing in here straight away, good luck to you. Or maybe set up a crafting station and bring the materials with you and put a little outpost up here. Otherwise it's time to go back to somewhere where you can actually craft the tier 3 axe and get ready for the second stage. So head back, make the tier 3 axe out of the chumpers, the parts and the bug goop. Craft as many either feather arrows or salt arrows as you can. And here's the rub. If you get your mosquito needle upgraded to maybe level 6 and you put in salty, you've pretty much got the perfect weapon to take on some of these guys. If you can't do that for some reason, then like I said, upgrading your crossbow is going to help, and the mint mace, even though it's still a little bit weak against termites, the actual salt of it is still good, so it's still worth having or upgrading. I also went with the antlion armor set as it would be a little bit lighter to wear than the heavy roly-poly. And now you get to see what it's like in action. I think if you've got a upgraded mosquito needle, you've put salt on it, it's a really good one for taking on these guys. Obviously though, if they swarm around you, you're still going to have to back away a little bit and make sure you're only getting attacked by at least 1 or 2 of them. And I'll repeat again, mutations wise, you want to have fresh defense, anything that boosts your stamina, maybe Blade Master, and something to give you some tanky health if you unlocked all of them. You obviously might want to bring a shield as well, but you're going to need possibly a torch to get through the caves or the tunnels themselves, unless you're actually putting up your gamma massively. But you can see doing it pretty quickly with higher stamina perk and obviously wearing a medium armour, it's really easy to get going. Obviously the needles replenish my health, so I don't have to worry too much, but again this is an easier setting. I'm playing this on mild. That said, it should still not really be going below maybe half, so as long as you've got plenty of bandages and maybe eating a good few meals beforehand, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. I would say maybe 3 to 4 of these guys is the max. Any more than that though, run away a little bit and take them out from distance. Let's go up the first ramp to the nearest hole, and we're just going to follow this all the way around. There's plenty of these splinters that you can go ahead and get if you want. And sometimes this is where a scarab will also run in and out too, so if you can lucky, you might be able to corner in or wait for them to come out. But this is a really good one, showing you exactly what damage you can do against one of them. Super quick and easy, and your stamina replens. Keep following this tunnel. There's only one way you can go, get the extra 100 science points, and you should be a little bit higher than you was. We want to get into that hole on the left that we just saw, so we're going to climb up and then use our dandelion tuft or jump on top of the hole before falling off into it eventually. Lots of these wooden places you can actually walk on without worrying about falling off, so just do what I'm doing here and then use your tuft to get into the hole nice and easy. Another 500 science points awaits you, so get a big amount while doing this. You'll eventually get to a fork, take the right hand side if you want to get some extra science points and follow it all the way down. You will come across some more termites to take care of. As long as you go steady, you can take them on one by one without too much trouble. And you can always retreat back up the tunnel if you're finding it a bit tough. And go right to the edge and you'll get yourself another 100 science points. And you can see this one is a little bit more difficult to get into. If you hear the science points ping when you're here, it's the science points inside the axe handle. Like I showed you at the beginning, you're probably going to have to build some grass planks to get across to it, which I'll show you at the end. So if you head back up the corridor to where you had the fork, and you will encounter lots of termites. In fact, it's a bit odd. When I came out of here after clearing it all out completely, I ended up with like 50, I swear, body parts. Way more than I need for pretty much anything else. You only need it to craft the one chest piece and maybe some of the termite food that you can get, and that's pretty much it. I guess maybe the termite axe, but once you've crafted 1 or 2, you won't necessarily need that much more. But you can see my little combination here with the right perks, meaning I've got plenty of stamina, and using the needle, which is upgraded, admittedly, it is doing the job. You can even put Blade Master on if you really want. That might also be better if you've unlocked the 3rd perk slot. You'll probably have to go through another wave of these guys. They seem to just come and attack you the whole time that you're going up this corridor, so you can't really even just run past them, as that will aggravate way too many of them. There is a kind of cheese method where you could just run through this entire hill without having to deal any damage to any of these guys, more or less. I only need the couple that will guard the king, but I'll show you that in a second. You can see there's 500 science points there. We're going to clear out and thin them out a little bit before we take them all on using the arrows. You can see I'm using splinter arrows right now, but switching over to the salt ones, and they pretty much do about the same sort of damage. Like I said, if you've got feather arrows, then it's going to take probably still about the same amount. For the soldier ones, it's usually 4, and for the normal, it's usually 3. Again, a few of them got stuck on the sides of the wall, so it was a lot easier just to take care of them while I was there. Eventually clearing them out, you can see how many body parts I've already got. 25 chompers, 45 termite parts. Pick up the 500 science points, and then before you go anywhere else, just make sure this is all cleared out. It seems like they come from the rest of the corridors, so when you go and explore the rest of them, you won't run into as many. So going from the way that you just come, on the left hand side there's a corridor. That's going to lead us to a milk molar as well as a scab. And the absolute mother load of mushrooms. Just like I said, if you are brave and you really want to get a whole bunch of mushrooms to help do some building, then this is a great place to just come and load up and get out really super quick if you can. But you will need to take care of the last few stragglers of some of these guys. I could have cut some more of this out, but I really did want to show you how many you'll get attacked by while going through here. So it's a pretty simple area. It's not like the Black Ant Hill. You go left and this is going to take us down to the scab, and if you go right, that's going to take us down to the milk molar. This is where you find a bulk of the mushroom chunks growing, as well as small mushrooms as well, so you won't have to worry about any food while you're down here. But do bear in mind you will get hungry a lot quicker since you're using so much of your stamina. And there we go, we've got a brand new scab, the sawdust one. It's okay, pretty orangey. And like I said, at the complete other end you'll find the milk molar sitting here. Head back to the big hall where the light is, and if you actually go back the way that you're just about to come, you do notice that there is another corridor to your left. This is the tunnel that leads all the way up to the blue tarplin. You don't really need to go through it, you'll only encounter maybe a couple more termites. There's no science points or anything else on that way. Instead, it's time to think about taking on the king. He's right at the edge of this big lit hallway, and there are also some cha-chas on the right hand side if you do want to stock up. So this is why you do it in stages. There's so many resources and termite parts that you'll get, and you'll also need the tier 3 axe to break through. Now if you're smart, you can actually break through the top parts of these and then pretty much just jump or crawl through them. This way you can kind of run through this entire hill without taking much damage from any of the termites, and just go and take on the boss as well as some of these minions, and the rest won't be able to get at you, they won't be able to break through. I feel like I'm pretty cheesy a lot of the time, so I decided not to do that with this run to show you. I might do that in a separate little quick video if they don't patch or do anything about it by the time the update goes live for everyone. But just take a look at my inventory and I've already destroyed a whole bunch of different stacks. Another 500 science points. I was debating about keeping this so that I could maybe have some light, but in the end I ended up grabbing it anyway in a second. And down this corridor is the King Termite. He's had some improvements to his pathing so he doesn't get stuck, and he does pretty huge damage in attacks if he manages to jump on you. But he's pretty slow and you can tell when he's about to hit very easily. You can see his shadow as well. What you do want to do is try and take care of these smaller minions first. Otherwise he just replenishes his health super quickly if you're going back and forth and not actually taking care of the small ones. There's maybe at least 3 or 4 in this area. So run around, maybe kite them out, and then run back the way that you just come. You can literally stand on the spikes for the entrance and shoot any that manage to follow you that far. Looks like the king won't follow you that far, he'll pretty much stay in that bottom corridor. If he does come up here, he won't go into the big lit hallway. So keep whittling down his minions before you take him on your own. And then it was time. I got rid of the last few minions and a few options here. Go for it with the mosquito needle like I'm doing. If you really want to do the most damage, the king is a bit different. He does take more damage from smashing, and he still obviously takes damage from salty. He's more resistant to fresh and obviously generic. So that means Club of the Mother Demon, the Mint Mace, and obviously the Spiky Sprig, Rent Ant Club, and the Salt Morning Star. But like I was telling you guys, the Salt Morning Star does make up for it if you've upgraded it, and obviously you've got it to quite a high level. That salt just overrides the negative effects of using a generic weapon. And like I said, with this I found it pretty good. Good combination of keeping your stamina up, using Blade Master, as well as maybe fresh defense. Although you don't have to worry about the king shooting any acid at you, and he doesn't even chuck any dirt at you. I'm presuming he'll respawn eventually, because you do obviously get the carapace pieces from him, which you need to make the termite chest piece. But you literally only get 4 pieces of this, and that's enough to make one. So if any friends come that will play, or with others, yeah, you might not necessarily be able to make or craft them this particular set. Now I say set lightly because it is literally just the chest piece. There's no legs, there's no helmet. The chest piece will give you extra damage against grass and hitting rocks, so it means that you can gather stuff, and it is a light armour with a fairly decent defence. But let's finish off this little guide to walk through. Go and grab the gold milk molar, that's the end of the corridor where the king was kind of mooching. But most important of all, make sure you pick up the burgle chip. Don't forget, as this is going to unlock the dual ingots that you can start upgrading your weapons past level 7 up to level 9. We'll cover them unlocks in more detail in a second, but just to show you what I did to go and get the science points as we left that are inside the axe. I guess I should have maybe included this in my trench guide, but honestly I didn't realise it was there. I thought when it pinged it was something to do with some actual science points inside the mound. But you get the idea. Build yourself a little ramp and then you should be able to crouch and get inside the hole. I tried a whole bunch of times just jumping from the top of the axe using some of the fluff to get in here. But it's simply too small, it just doesn't work, or I couldn't get it to do it without falling down. Once you've picked it up, that's it, it's time to head back to Burgle. Now if you've got the science points, which you should have if you've been following my trench and the wood guide, you can unlock the cookbook woodpile, which gives us the Black Ox burger, which gives you max health and damage resist. And then we've got the Termite Delight, which again gives you another buff for chopping down grass and getting rocks. If you're wearing the chest piece as well as drinking or eating the Termite Delight, and you've got either the Barbarian perk it is I think, or the Rock Smasher one, plus the grass one where you cut it quickly, then you can pretty much swipe away at grass in just one hit, making them fall. The same thing goes for lots of the rocks. And then it unlocks obviously the advanced smithing for the quartzite and flavoured jewels, and this is how you can get yourself up to level 8 and 9, but obviously you're going to need the shiny shells from the scarabs. And obviously the termite chest piece, it does cost 5 of the termite parts, 3 lint rope and 4 of the carapace. So hopefully we get something to complete this set or some more uses for them termite parts in the future. Hope this guide's been useful. If it has, leave a like, check out the rest of my guides, and I can't wait for the full update to hit so everyone can enjoy it. I don't think there'll be any big changes. I recorded this just a few days before and hadn't been any major updates. So until next time, rat bags, laters.